you've always had that thread of being a performer, even though it wasn't, a job you were doing. Even when you're in the military, you were making people laugh.
When it comes to entrepreneurship is you're taking constant leaps of faith. If there's a hell, I think the devil would turn me into an accountant or something. Like I had made people jump off the toilet prematurely because I was impersonating instructors.
That's a situation.
Let me tell you that I've had this dream since I was 13 watching MTV.
Well, first and foremost, let me kind of introduce you and what we're doing here. So, for everyone who's watching, thanks for tuning in to Dreams Not Deferred. I'm Miranda Santillan, and I have my friend Oliver Tenacio here, who I'm going to let him tell you all about him, but he is a fellow voice actor, kind of building his dream life too. So, I wanted to bring Oliver on to talk about well, getting to know you first off, like your background. So I'd love for you to just tell everybody whatever you want to say, what year you were born, every day since no, like whatever you want to talk about. And then kind of what brought you to this interest of voice acting, kind of how that came about.
All right, basically I'm just some kid from SoCal. And my dad got us here. He joined the Navy from the Philippines, and that's how a lot of Filipinos got here, I guess. So, being a kid from an Asian immigrant family, therefore, you never perform well enough in life.
Mm.
That's the that's the running joke. So, yeah, I was yeah, when was I born? I think October 9th of 87. That's when I was born.
Good to know.
Yeah, yeah. So you could pair up my birth date with whatever horoscope you want to, and
What? Did we just become best friends? Yup.
you could analyze why I am the way I am, maybe. But yeah, basically, I grew up in Southern California. What I do now is I work on cars for a living. I've been doing it for almost like on and off for like 20 years,
Nice.
and so I want to say like, oh yeah, I bring experience to the table. I'm an American blue collar worker.
Hey.
But I'm also one of those guys who can't hold down a job. Like, um, I've had like a variety of blue collar jobs, like mainly with cars. I even got kicked out of the Navy one time.
Oh,
Yeah, that's kind of a funny fact to talk about.
tell us.
Yeah, yeah. So I was told by I think he's my cousin when you're a part of a brown family that's like indigenous. It's kind of hard to figure out who you're related to, but everyone kind of is related to you somehow.
Got it.
But yeah, my cousin, he was in the Marine Corps. He was
Okay.
explosive ordnance disposal, a bomb tech. He's like, you know what, a job for you if you ever join the military. He told me he'd kick my ass if I did.
Wow.
But then yeah, he didn't come home from Iraq, and we're like, oh Jesus Christ. So this is the reality of
Wow.
joining the military.
Mm.
And then I went against his wishes and joined because he told me, like, you know what, you could be a Navy diver. Those guys, you can't tell them what to do. So I'm like, I like to surf, I like to swim. So like I ended up getting like a Navy diver contract from my recruiter, and they do such a good job hyping you up. Like Navy recruiters are some of the best freaking salesmen in the whole world.
Hmm.
So they got me. They're like, yeah, dude, just pass these physical tests every month for a year and you'll be a freaking Navy diver. Badass. Like, we believe in you.
Wow.
And then it turns out I just did not like the military in general once I got in.
I can see that.
Yeah. So one time we're cleaning the bathrooms in boot camp. And like there's always a guy who like complains. There's always a guy who wants everyone to shut up. And there's always this guy who's just singing while like wiping down toilets. I was doing voice impersonations of my instructors.
Oh.
So one memory in Navy boot camp that sticks out is someone's like, "Why are you in the Navy?" I'm like, "Dude, I'm lost, man. Like, I don't know.
Hmm.
it got to a point where I would freak out my fellow shipmates in boot camp by impersonating certain instructors. Like I had made people jump off the toilet prematurely because I was impersonating instructors.
That's a situation. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, they didn't give enough of a I guess. Ah, whatever. Jokes, yeah. But from then on, let's see. I think I was partying with my friends. We were smoking spice.
Oh boy.
Yeah, back when spice was legal, we were smoking it like because it didn't you didn't pop on a drug test, you know?
Oh yeah. Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah, so like we would go out to the record store and buy spice.
Mm.
Um, we got caught partying too hard on a Monday night in the barracks, and then long story short, they found spice and we got investigated. I made a whole battalion of like 500 people come into base at like 9, 10 o'clock at night. I was responsible for getting the whole battalion randomly drug tested.
Yikes.
So they liked me a lot after that.
Sure.
Eventually I got kicked out and back to my parents' house and trying to figure it out from there. And fast forward to my interest in voice acting. Another thing about me and my interest in voice acting was growing up Filipino, it's naturally you kind of go to a lot of funerals.
Mm.
So, and then I figured out, yeah, like I figured I kind of had a knack for speaking in front of crowds of people
Mm.
because I had something positive to say, you know, surprisingly about the people that had passed, and then I'm like, wow, it's like I notice people's faces when I talk to them, like in front of a big crowd. I'm like, there's an actual change in the mood just from like saying words to people.
Mm.
So then, you know, never really believing it could go somewhere.
Hmm.
I I think about a year ago is when I started training, and that started because I hurt my back at my current job working on cars. So I was one of those proud old school blue collar guys who had a flip phone.
Yep.
And then eventually I finally got a smartphone a few years ago. Then I hurt my back. All I could do was look at like figure out how to use Instagram.
Mm.
And I'm like, you know what, this voice thing might be a realistic avenue for me to pursue. So then I started following different voice acting accounts, and I found our coach Melissa Moats just
Hey.
appeared on my phone,
Hmm.
and I'm like, well, she's saying I could win a free class if I like, comment, follow.
Hmm.
So I won. I won this free giveaway. I'm like, this is even bigger scam than I thought. And like my girlfriend's mom has a 5 acre ranch in Sandy Valley. So whenever I go to Nevada, I'm in Sandy Valley. Maybe I'm on the strip, you know, but
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
I'm kicking around dirt and letting my dogs run and chase goats. Like, so when I go to town in Vegas, I make sure my boots are dirty so it looks like I don't know, I'm still a blue collar guy, I
yeah.
guess.
You're a rancher or
I
something.
yeah, that's right. Damn it. Like you see that movie Yellowstone? Yeah, I know what it's like. Yeah, whatever. But like, yeah, so I figured I'd go and actually see what this training program was about. And turns out, I'm telling myself this is just going to be a big sales pitch.
Hmm.
And it turns out she's got like what, 25 years doing this.
Hmm.
And she's showing off her work. I'm like, okay, she's boasting. You have to if she wants us to believe her. And then leaving that class, I ended up signing up for the beginner course. I'm like, okay, let me travel 5 hours to sit in this classroom. I have no idea what's going to happen. Okay, let me spend like $400 or something for the next courses. And then it's like, let me spend a few more $100 on the next courses.
Hmm.
And the transformation was has been huge. So from the beginning of my life to here, I guess that's a sneak preview of what it's like. I'm just a huge up and there's a job that I could actually do that I could probably be late to, by the way. Sorry for being late today, you
You're good. You're good. You're good. You're a true artist. That is the mark of a true artist.
know? Oh, cool. Right on. Um,
That's a true creative right there. That's just how we are. It is what it is.
okay, I'm learning.
No, I love that. First of all, not a fuck up. Your whole trajectory of your life, it's funny because you've always had that thread of being a performer, even though it wasn't, a job you were doing. Even when you were in the military, you were making people laugh. You were like kind of the show. You know what I mean? So it's like you always had that seed in you, but when that seed is not planted in the right environment, so like I was lucky because my whole family was musicians. So
Yeah, right.
the seed was planted early that, oh, like, you could actually like be a musician and like everyone in my family is, even though they weren't like famous, they had, full-time jobs and they were doing it on the side, but still it was in my environment that people were artistic and doing stuff. So I had that. But I know, like yourself and a lot of other people, when you don't grow up necessarily with everyone around you doing stuff like that, there is no like feeling that it could be possible, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, well, comedians and actors and so like they're just special people that got lucky and cool for them, but that's not normal people. Like that's kind of, you know what I mean? So it's like you always had that seed, but um it just took a while for the right soil. Oh, this analogy, the right soil to come along for you
Oh,
to have it prosper into, something that you could act. But I've seen you also you posted on your Instagram, you doing stand up. So do you do stand up too?
I've done stand up for about a year.
Okay.
What I learned, well, how I got into that was, I guess I figured sometimes I say something and then sometimes I'll see people laugh. And if it doesn't make them laugh, it either makes them really mad and dislike me. So I'm like, and then after enough years, I'm like, you know what? I got to get on stage one day.
Mhm.
And then maybe like a couple of years ago, I signed up for my first open mic. And I worked so hard at like writing my first routine. I rehearsed it like for like a month, and then I had the balls to go up at the Grand Comedy Club in
Wow.
Escondido, California.
Sick.
So, and my first performance got a lot of laughs.
Nice.
And I kept writing gigs. I was meeting comedians. I was doing the right thing. I was going to gigs, meeting comedians, writing material, practicing it, treating it like a freaking job.
Hmm.
And after my first few snags, I kind of realized like, wait a sec, okay, I'm learning now that this is super hard work. And then after a few bombs, I'm like, wait a second, okay, maybe I'm not reading the room. I'm not familiar with like amateur nights because when I watch we all have like heroes in our industry
Oh yeah.
and we try to be like them. I try to do that, and then the host of the show is like, dude, you are not that special yet. You got to put in work before you could start saying those kinds of things. I'd meet other comedians who traveled all like up and down the state. I met comedians who from different states. I met comedians all over the damn like I even met a dude from Uganda.
Damn.
Yeah. His name, by the way, his name is Berunji. He made me laugh my ass off.
Oh,
When I met him, I'm like, oh my God, how much traveling do you need to do to become a famous comedian? Like, I can't afford to be a comedian, like buying all these drinks and gas money. Oh, I'm gonna take voice acting. I could spend a few $100s at a time, you know?
dude. Dude, you're telling me. I feel that on so many levels, everything you just said. One on the heartbreak part, because dude, I started doing music when I was like 13. Like I
No
started writing
shit.
songs and I was, that was before YouTube, I think, but I started putting out stuff and the hate, the judgment, the talkers just were pouring in. And then the more that social media came up, the worse it got, obviously. And I had many of times where I had, it was like, oh, I was this close to a big break. I did a song with somebody who worked at this record label, and it was like, this is it. This is the moment. Like, I'm gonna be Beyonce, like I always dreamed to be, and then nothing happened, or it fell through, or this person, decided not to do it. It was like every year there'd be something like that. And at the time, it felt like, well, maybe I'm just not supposed to do this because it just keeps, am I not good enough or is it just not meant for me? Like, but, over time, as you grow, it's like you learn, as a comedian, you learn, like, okay, this type of crowd, this material is not really, really popping with them. So maybe next time I could do something more like this, and kind of finding ways to like adapt without losing like your own soul and your own style. But I feel you on the heartbreak. I've been through that hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times over almost 2 decades now.
Oh
Al-
boy.
Almost, yeah, I'm 32. I started when I was like 13, like writing songs.
No
So
shit.
been a long time. But sometimes kind of like what you said, sometimes it's like your dreams kind of transform. You wanted to do some type of performing early on, obviously, because it was natural for you. So you thought, okay, maybe comedy because you make people laugh. And sometimes you try stuff. And for me, I'm going to be a famous music artist, which in retrospect is hilarious because I love being home. I don't like to travel very much. I like performing, but not really on stage, which is weird. Like, I don't really enjoy doing shows because it's exhausting and it's late night and it's a pain in the.
Yeah,
I love being in the studio, right? Or
understood.
or like on camera because you're like able to create with people versus like performing. But it took a very long time to open up to that. Like, oh, maybe there's other things that with this skill and passion I could do, like voice acting, where you're still using those skills, but it's maybe not the way you originally thought because your mind is kind of like stuck on a what's possible, what have other people done. But voice acting, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but you're probably like me and you never even thought about it. Like it didn't really cross your mind, right?
No, I think somebody had to tell me about voice acting, but they didn't use the exact words voice acting. They're like, dude, you could be a cartoon character or some. I'm
Hmm.
like, whatever. That job doesn't register in my blue collar brain."
Yeah. Dude, same. No, I was the same way. I didn't uh I think it came to me when I didn't really get into I've always played video games. I've always loved gaming.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I didn't really get into anime until the last like couple years. I was never into it as a kid, as a teenager. It just wasn't my vibe. But over the last couple years I got into it and one of my friends who's a big anime guy was like, I could really hear you like doing like an anime character or something. I was like, well, I don't know, that's kind of silly. I probably wouldn't be into that. That's probably really, you probably have to already be like a famous actor to get into doing that.
Yeah, and there you are.
So I was like, I don't know. And then maybe a couple weeks after he said that, I was actually I was considering doing vocal lessons like as a side gig.
Oh,
And I actually looked up voice lessons in the Google search near me just so
wow.
that I could see what other people were charging in Vegas.
Yeah.
And the Voice Actor Studio popped up. And I was like, what is this? So was this like a place where you go do vocal lessons? So I found them by accident. And same thing as you. It was like saw Melissa and she drew me in, and then I came in person and was like, oh my God, a whole new world
Yeah.
popped up. Yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of cool seeing her just magically pop up like a part of me is thinking like, "Oh, this is totally meant to be. This is divine intervention. I got to stop destroying my body." And then the other part of me is like, you have fallen for some scams before.
Oh yeah.
So, I don't know. I guess what I take away from that is when it comes to entrepreneurship is you're taking constant leaps of faith is what it kind of seems like.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
e- every ongoing workshop I took, God, those were exhausting. It's like I get off work at like 5-ish.
Mm.
Been working on cars for like 9 hours, and then then I would like take a hour and a half break. I'd set up my laptop and microphone like at work because it's quieter than being at home most of the time.
Mm.
So I'm at work from like 8 to like 05 because I'm late every day to work. I'm like from like 8:05, 8:10, 8:05 until like 9:30 to 10 o'clock to take these ongoing workshops.
Hmm.
And yeah, but I think what our coach Melissa likes to say is when you take these baby steps,
Hmm.
you eventually like you make progress with every little baby step you take. And that's what it felt like so far, a year of baby steps. And now that I got my demo reel, it's like
A blank canvas, the open road, time to roam. Who we are comes alive on a Harley. Whoa, dude, the Gordita Supreme is back? What is this, the 90s? Bro, this flashback is off the hook. The 90s Gordita Supreme. Relive the decades at Taco Bell. Discover your next favorite game and access hundreds of games, including day one releases with Xbox Game Pass Ultimate. In a land filled with this much nature, I follow a different clock. From the rush of exploring to the serenity of a sunrise. Here, everything shines a little brighter. Colorado, come to life. Hard work should be easy. Build something with Makita tools. Makita, top of the food chain. Chewy.com. Chewy.com. Chewy.com? For life with pets, get everything you need at Chewy.com. Scrubbing is manly. Being a scrub is not. Every man Jack. Man up and groom. Bobby's a member of Navy Federal, so he feels financially at ease, which means he can worry about other things like landing this fish. But what if it's not a fish? What if it's a treasure, and the treasure is cursed? Bobby has plenty to worry about, but his finances aren't one of them.
what do I do now? Like,
Yeah. Now comes the business part, right?
yeah,
That's the part
yeah,
I resisted initially, like with music stuff for years. I was like, well, no, no, no. I'm just gonna focus on the music and then I'm gonna get a manager and have like a team that does everything for me so that I can just write and create music and then they can market me. And yeah, obviously you can imagine how that went. It didn't go very far because unless you're already popping, nobody gives a shit. Nobody wants to be on your team because they're like, who are you? So yeah, I initially took this entitled, lazy, like procrastinator attitude with it, and obviously it did not get me very far for years. So eventually, I started taking I got like some business coaching because I was clueless, like most people are when they're artists. You don't go to business school because you don't want to be in corporate America. Like that's not your dream, but you know it is part of the game if you want to do it for more than just fun, so that it's the not fun part, but I will tell you this from experience. At first it's annoying and boring and it sucks, but then you get to a certain point where it kind of starts to become exciting and you kind of get, and I think you're already getting this, I can feel it, like that entrepreneur bug is starting to bite and you're like,
yeah.
okay, I am a business. Like, I'm starting to feel like a boss. So, the more business classes, especially at the studio, they have a lot of business classes that you take, the more I think it gets you excited about the whole thing.
Yeah, it's cool. Like Melissa puts this is gonna start this interview is gonna like sound like a whole the voice actor studio ad now.
Oh,
But
no.
yeah.
Not getting
Yeah.
paid by them, by the way.
Yeah, yeah. Well, maybe I could claim them on my taxes or something, but
There
like
you go.
that's what I learned from the business class.
Yes.
Yeah, but learning about business, it's funny, like it does seem very unfun to even just think about. Like, I was never very oriented with doing paperwork. Like, that's why I'm so scared to death of getting into car accidents is because I hate doing paperwork. It's like, oh, I've let so many people go like during minor car accidents. Like, yeah, there's a dent in my truck. I don't care, dude. Just I don't want to sign any papers. Like,
Oh my God. We know what
but
Oliver's biggest fear is. It's not death by car accident or being maimed or breaking your neck. It's paperwork.
yeah, oh God, if there's a hell, I think the devil would turn me into an accountant or something. Which is funny. My girlfriend's an accountant, but
Oh my
like,
God. Sorry,
yeah,
what's her name?
her name's Leah.
Sorry, Leah. No shade, Leah. Accountants
Uh,
are awesome and we need them in this life.
Definitely.
Oh God.
But like getting excited about it, that's really cool to hear. Because that's motivation.
Mhm.
Like every time we think about being accountable for the money we make, it's like, ah, that part.
Yeah.
Like I had always a part of me wanted to be like growing up like a pro surfer, you know. I had that pro surfer freaking phase. Like I'm gonna be a pro surfer, I'm gonna go to tournaments. And then I'm watching like pro surfer athletes like getting hit with like tax evasion.
Yeah, yeah. Because they don't, you know what? Professional athletes get it more even than actors and music artists for some reason. I think because yeah, unless you're a rapper who gets $1 million deal or because actors don't really get $1 million contracts like that, but pro athletes, especially in football and stuff, they get millions of dollars up front. And no one teaches that. You think, well, if I had millions of dollars, I wouldn't piss it away. Like who's stupid enough to piss it? Well, it's not about being stupid. It's just about not having a structure in place. And I didn't either. When I started getting money up front for stuff, where people would pay me in bulk for doing like vocals and stuff for them, um, I didn't know the percentage of how much I should save for taxes because you're not getting taxes taken out. So I just thought, well, I'll have enough when tax season comes around. It'll be fine. It wasn't fine. But also just not having a structure in place to know how to manage your income when it's coming in a big chunk and then nothing for a little while and then a little bit and then a little bit and then another big chunk and then nothing for like weeks. Like it's so different than a 9 to 5 that no one teaches you how to actually manage it. So it's good to take the classes and learn now because if you don't, you'll end up like me. And I finally learned it now, but it's like I'm trying to go and repair damage from the first couple years of not knowing that and it's like it's cleanup. It's really cleaning up financially so much and then you're mad because you're like, if someone would have just taught me this, it's actually not hard. It's just you don't know what you don't know.
Hmm.
Oh, this is like my PSA for everybody like yourself, like me, like anyone watching this who's a creative artist. Learn about the tax part, get a tax accountant when you can afford it, or even just get advice. Because if you don't from the beginning, you're going to screw yourself over. And then you don't want to get to a point where you're doing the thing that was for fun that you love, that's a passion, like voice acting or whatever it is, and you're so desperate because you're financially tight that you're grasping onto every single gig you can possibly get because then you get desperate. You start doing gigs for less than you should, and you're doing stuff that's not fun, but well, it pays, so I'll do it. And you start to, that's what happened with music for me. I started to lose the fun of it and the creativity because I was like, I have to do this to get paid. And I'm like, well, this is no different than when I was a personal trainer. I did it to get paid. That
Yeah.
was my job, and I got out of a job for a reason. So,
Yeah.
okay, PSA over, but you get me.
Learning the business side of the voice acting industry, it's a huge culture shock.
Yeah.
But it's very interesting because it contrasts everything I thought I ever learned about business. Like most of my friends were drug dealers growing up.
Mm.
So I thought like business was like, hey, stack that cash, homie, and better pay off your supplier above you. That's what business was to me. So when when I take the business classes at the voice actor studio, I'm like, this is almost the same thing. There's just like the IRS involved.
Yeah, yeah, that's part of it.
Let's see, I've been training. voice acting for like a year now.
Mm-hmm.
And what I love about it is it's do it at your own pace. Why I'm not a full-time voice actor right now, it's because I am taking baby steps,
Mm-hmm.
and I think taking those baby steps is having me preventing me from hitting too hard of a snag, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And this kind of reminds me of a quote from like, I don't know, a Chinese philosopher or something. It was some shit like, to know about the road ahead, ask those coming back.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I'm seeing you. I'm like, I'm watching you make your ups.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, well, okay, what do I not do? Like I joke around saying, I'm riding your coattails, on this journey.
Well, yeah, I mean that's why I'm sharing stuff is because it's like, most people don't talk about the whole journey. They'll talk about the struggle and the hustle and the come up, but they kind of leave out they leave out the business and financial part. They just go from, oh, it's hustling and grinding, trying to, I always think back to music. So handing out my mixtapes, and just trying to get into clubs and perform, blah blah blah. And then it's like they jump to like, oh, I got my shot and got the record deal. And it's like, but okay, so you went from nothing to the goal, rags to riches, but what about in between? Like what
Hmm.
about when you started getting like where I'm at now, where you've got a full-time career of doing whatever it is you want to do, but there's missing pieces
Hmm.
talks about. And so, yeah, the first two times that I did exactly what you just said, and I went full out. The second that I had a gig that was paying pretty good, I was working at a tech company back in like 2014 or 15. And I had randomly been on Craigslist every single day, singer, songwriter, like just trying to find something. And I was going into studios by myself, which please don't do this, off of Craigslist ads. Singer needed for a session, songwriter needed for, and I was just going to studios and showing up by myself. I'm lucky I'm not dead. Luckily none of them were weirdos. But I was doing like $50 for like 2 hours of recording, which is ridiculously cheap. But I started doing that, and then I found a weird gig doing competitive cheerleading music, which still blows my mind because it's so weird, but it makes good money. And the first 6 months of doing it, I was making enough to replace my 9 to 5 because at that time it was like $8 an hour was minimum wage.
Hmm.
So with that, just because I was making enough money, I quit the job. I was like, yeah, hell yeah, I'm a full-time musician now. And then I didn't know that after a certain time, it slows down because there's a season for it. Like most music or entertainment, there's downtimes. And I didn't know that because I had no education. So I just jumped all in. And then as soon as the slow season hit, I didn't have a big savings. I didn't have any savings back then. And I went broke like 3 months after that and had to move out of my apartment because I was going to get evicted. And yeah, I was going to food banks, was totally on every single government assistance you could possibly imagine.
Hell yeah.
Back in with my parents. I was in LA. I moved back in with my parents in the Inland Empire um, for a while. And I did that like twice because then I'm like, okay, got a job again. I'm going to build back up. And then I would do the same thing again. I got enough music gigs. I think I got this. And so I quit. And then the same shit happened. So finally, the third time, I was like, there's something missing. I need to learn how to do this the right way. And that's when I started taking some business training and then started studying basic finance. I'm not talking like, what stocks to buy, like that. I just needed to know how do I manage this money so I don't go broke and make stupid decisions and I have enough to pay for taxes. So I learned by up and by being poor. So,
Yeah.
sometimes that's the best way because I feel like now I can help people and I'm also very empathetic and compassionate for other people going through that because I know what it's like.
Hmm.
And I can also be tough love to them because I'm like, hey, I fucked up and I'm trying to keep you from fucking up. So I am going to be tough on you about this shit. To go take the classes, to go, get an accountant, whatever it is. So, Yeah, it's a tough transition because all you want to do is the fun part, but
Understood, yeah.
important, you know?
But I feel like that whole spiel that you just gave out here, it's really good for our younger entrepreneurs, like say as kids who feel like they don't want to go to college after high school, becoming an entrepreneur. Like, yeah, you these things you've probably heard before from other people. It sounds really cliche, but falling on your ass is something very necessary to do. And we could say to ourselves, like, I know I'm gonna up and fail, but when you're actually in that situation, you're gonna see what your character is really like to bounce back up. And you're gonna feel like there is no way to bounce back up. But I guess if you just tell yourself you have to get out of this jam, and if you take those steps to get out of this jam, eventually you will. I'd like to believe that it would be that way for everyone. So as far as pursuing entrepreneurism, like business classes, where'd you pursue like your business knowledge prior to like the voice actor studio? Did you go to like community college or?
No, I chose to go the internet learning route. Like it's very 2025. I just had like looked around on Google and on social media. Like for me, it was particularly women in business. So
Yeah,
I definitely
okay.
recommend you finding like somebody that you relate to,
Yeah. Hmm.
whatever your background is, whoever you are, find somebody that like vibes with you. And for me, it was female entrepreneurs, obviously. So
Yeah.
I found this lady who I had reached out and found out that she was like a business coach, basically. And at that time, funny story, at that time was when COVID was going on, and it was not my fault that they closed the gyms, and I was laid off. Right, I was a personal trainer and like front desk, right? I got laid off, obviously, during COVID, and so I got unemployment because that's what happened. Well, I got what a lot of people were mad about, which was more money than I actually was making prior
Hmm.
to closing. So I was getting more money on unemployment than not my fault. I didn't ask
Right.
for it. They gave it to me.
Yeah.
So because of that, I had money to start saving, A, and I did. I saved a lot of money. I put it away. But then B, I had some money to invest because I'm like, well, I don't want to go back to work. I want to try this for the third time, launching a creative entrepreneur career. Like, let's do it this time. So I saved up like 6 months of savings to have that blanket or that, pillow to fall on when the slow season came. So this time I had the cash to put aside, and then I had enough to be able to try to invest in learning. So I had found her and I got like private one-on-one coaching with her. And it was
Wow.
like for the total for like, I think it was like, I don't know, 6 months of like one-on-one calls, or maybe it was less than that. But anyways, it was like $4,000. It was a big investment for me. I was like, God, like that's more money than I've spent on music equipment, on music videos, on photography, like anything. I'd never spent that. But it was that unemployment money. So I was like, you know what? I put some aside already, and I'm like, I might as well put it to good use. And so I put it into the coaching. So yeah, I mean, you don't have to go to school. You could just find somebody, just do your research because, there's a lot of heads out there that, just will tell you to invest in crypto and that'll solve all your problems. So find somebody
Yeah.
reputable that you relate to, and you don't have to invest $4,000. I did that because I really wanted to go all in. Um, but you can I mean, you could start with just looking at free videos on YouTube of, people that have a creative entrepreneur business like me, or people who are accountants that work with creative people. And you can start learning. It doesn't have to be anything expensive, but yeah, I chose the non-school route because I felt like our niche is so specific that a general business class may not really give us what we need, So that's just my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, take whatever information we can get from wherever. We're going to get bad advice from somebody, and we're going to fall for it. I mean, it'll improve our instinct and sleight of hand.
Hmm.
But I swear, like, YouTube's got to start giving out degrees or diplomas pretty soon.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
then, other than that, like, people can get a lot of precious information from their like local community college from whatever the subject you want to study.
Yeah. No,
So
for
as for our up and coming entrepreneurs, like you, if you're scared to take that leap of faith from this conversation, I hope you're learning that taking that leap of faith, it's sometimes there's a lot of homework involved before you take that leap.
yeah.
Like there's a lot of research and a lot of grinding, and then hopefully when you do take that leap, you'll have a safety net that you built. Or if you don't have that safety net, then your life's adventure is just going to be extra interesting. And
Yeah.
go for it. Like
Yeah.
I went out to work on a weed farm in Colorado.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, me and marijuana, that's a weird combination. But
Couldn't imagine.
no, frick, not at all.
Oh
But
boy.
like yeah, that was a complete leap of faith that ended up in disaster because everybody knew when weed was getting legal.
Mhm.
Um, if you were in the business, then you were automatically gonna get rich. That's what it seemed like. So I fell for that. I traveled from California to Colorado to go work an outdoor season in the summer.
Wow.
I ended up getting pretty screwed about it. I ended up back home again, which I think I do have a stand up somewhere talking about how, oh, I'm gonna go and work on a weed farm and get rich. Like, no, I'm gonna get somehow enslaved on some property. Like somehow I became an armed guard.
Oh. Oh.
Um, like yeah, I was freaking growing the plants. I
Nice.
was cutting them, I was doing the trimming, I was doing the extracting. But like the reason why he had me come out there was because I was also a competitive shooter. I was doing like pistol matches for the USPSA. That I think that stands for United States Practical Shooting Association.
Sick.
So then he was like, "Yeah, dude, come to the farm." And then he started. We'd get drunk. He'd be like, "Yeah, it's kind of why, bro. Yeah, everybody knows you shoot, so people know not to go on my farm." And I'm sitting here like, I thought I was gonna be a hippie gardener, not like a mercenary.
It's
Like
turning into narcos. What the hell?
Like I'm not even honorably discharged from the military, and here I am. Oh, this is what I get. Like, oh boy. Like I'd see people coming up to the farm, and I'm like, please don't come here. Please don't come. Please stay there. Nothing happened. I ran away from that place, and
Never looked back.
we still talk. Like I think he saw my stand up, and then I think he is like, "Hey, man, I heard your stand up about the weed farm. I'm sorry, man." I'm like, "Thanks."
Lucky I didn't sue you, bro. That's great.
Uh, I guess that's another part of my voice acting journey, another failure.
Dude, but you wouldn't be where you are without any of those failures. You know what I mean? And really, they're just shots that you took, and not all of them are going to take. But I stopped seeing them as failures just because there's always something you took from it, even if it doesn't seem obvious now. Like you're like, what the f did I take from going and being on a a weed farm and not, it not turning out? But there's always something that either made you smarter, stronger, or made you more motivated to do something else, to hit back harder. You know what I mean? Um, for me, the second failure of going out and trying to be a famous music artist and all the flops, it's like it made me even more hungry to come back the third time and do it the right way. I,
Yeah.
I don't think that I would have gotten it right ever if I hadn't have fallen hard. You know what I mean?
Yeah, falling hard. There's always a lesson in that. But it's funny how unrelated experiences, let's say like working on a weed farm, I can't really put that on a resume and then send it to a voice acting client. But what's funny is my girlfriend and I wanted to go see the town where I worked.
Hmm.
So we were there and I haven't been inside the bar. I don't know if it's on Main Street. Every little town's got a street called Main Street, right? So we go to like the bar I used to frequent after 6 years. I walk in, they're like, "What's up, man?" I'm like, "Oh my God, it's been 6 years. They still remember me." So the way I take that experience is even though I was doing something pretty shady in a small town, everybody knew my business.
Hmm.
The relationships I kept with the people in that town turned out to be very positive.
Hmm.
And every time I took a business class at the voice actor studio, a lot of it had to do with having positive interactions with your clients.
Hmm.
And then I think back, I'm like, cool. I went out there, I did that. I never got arrested. The town didn't shun me. I went back and they remembered me in a positive way.
There you go.
I'll like so like every little skill that you develop on your life's journey can totally be applied to where you end up. Hopefully it's your dream where you end up, but it's like it just seems like we're all a collective set of skills
Hmm.
that can be productive in this world like
Yeah.
and that's a funny thing about voice acting too. I'm learning a lot of voice actors aren't just voice actors. They have so many other what do you call enterprises going on.
Hmm.
Like our coach Melissa, she's got so many freaking things going on. I can't imagine being that busy in life.
It's a lot.
Like, yeah, like I can just imagine myself, okay, I worked on cars for like 60 hours this week. I'm just gonna get stoned as and then go surfing.
Yeah. Well,
But
that
now,
no, that's perfect because that's it. That is going to lead me to the really the biggest question of this, and what I'm going to ask everybody that comes on is because it's so important. I did an episode by myself last week on this of building your own dream life that is specific to you, that like plays in your mind of every day, this is what I want my day to look like, versus, well, if I'm going to be a full-time voice actor, my life's going to be like, no, it can be however you want it to be. Your whole lifestyle, the dream isn't just doing a certain job. It's like, what do I want my whole life to look like? Do I want to get up and have this many hours to surf? So putting you on the spot, what does your right now, and it can always change, dream life on a day-to-day basis look like for you? No,
okay, so realistically, my
oh,
dream
no, no,
life,
realistically. No, realistically. We don't do realistic. This is
okay, let's dream.
no limits.
Yeah, yeah, I would surf every day. I would like wake up and surf like every morning at like 6 o'clock.
Hmm.
And then I'd come home and take care of the things I need to take care of,
Hmm.
which I guess in this case, my dream, I said it to myself, is I just want to work from home.
Yeah.
Like I just want to make it that far and then find other things to bitch at about my life, like oh, I completed my dream. What now? I'm a human. I got to find something to complain about. But yeah, my dream is to just surf and work from home and like eat tacos and probably die one day. I don't know.
Dude, no, that is so perfect because literally, like, well, without the surfing part, because I'm too afraid to do that. I'm a scaredy cat. Believe it or not, people may not know that about me. I'm extremely cautious and I'll take risks in business and with money, but I will not take physical risks. I'm
Understood.
terrified. I like to sit on the beach and walk on the beach. But no, but the part about that was my first dream too. Like after I let go of the or realized that the being a famous music artist actually wasn't what I really wanted. I only really wanted that initially because I needed validation and people to like me and to tell me I was special. Once I like got some therapy and learned that that was not my true dream, that was an ego dream.
Hmm.
My actual dream was the same as yours, minus the surfing. It was, I want to just create from home and just be creative. Well, at the time, it was all about music. I just want to be in the studio every day, wake up and be like, cool, I need to make 2 songs today. Go in and make those 2 songs, and then have the rest of the time to do whatever the I want. And whatever comes along after that, whether I feel like gardening, I feel like going to the beach, whatever, um, that was my dream too. And it took a couple years, but then obviously I got to the point where I'm doing it now. And you're exactly right. I got to the point where that dream came true, and then it was like, "Ugh, well, but now I want this. This part's annoying now. I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to do dedication songs for people anymore because it's not, I don't like making dedication songs for people anymore. Like it's becoming boring for me. So that's something to complain about now and something that I want to get rid of. So I got to find something else to supplement that. But it's so true. Like just hold on to that vision and it's not just possible, it's easily plausible for you to be able to have that schedule with voice acting where you just pick a time during the day where you want to do auditions and most auditions don't come in till like 9 or 10 anyways. You can get up and go surfing and then come back and shower or whatever and do auditions. And
Okay.
yeah, dude, I thought you
Oh,
were gonna say wanted billions of dollars or something. I was gonna be like, that's possible too, but that's gonna take some time. But just working from home and being able to surf like that, easy.
well, I feel more encouraged now.
Yeah.
But which also reminds me, speaking to our fellow young entrepreneurs, like looking back on the progress you made is very important in the journey too. Like the whole complaining about our dream after we achieve it, it kind of reminds me of being extremely desperate for a job and then going to hating that job. It's like, oh my God, I would do anything. I'd like, I'll sell crack and then sell the crack and then pay my bills that way. And then, then you get really good at it. Then you become like a really good street worker plus a really good drug dealer. And then it's like, oh, I'm tired of this. My jaw hurts. And people hit me up at 3 in the morning. I'm tired of this life. Then we got to move on. And
The life
then,
target.
yeah, don't forget to apply those skills forward too. There's a service manager at the shop next door. This guy's born in 1947. He's a freaking dealership salesman. He's a master manipulator salesman. He's the most entertaining guy I've ever heard talk in my life. He's like, I talked to him about voice acting. He's like, oh, you want to make it into voice acting? You ever heard of the blind surfer? I'm like, who, what? Starts naming off people's names. I don't know who they are. And then he goes, let me tell you about getting into Hollywood, okay? I grew up there. I know Hollywood. You got to knock down doors or and that's how you make it in Hollywood. So then my buddy's like, dude, take it a step further. You should go around knocking down doors to
Dude. And that is what you call thinking outside the box, going the extra mile, setting yourself apart. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Hashtag no Diddy. Um,
This should be a positive message to our younger viewers.
love that. Oh my God. Oh, okay. So my mom's gonna watch this podcast and she's gonna love it, but I can't send it to my dad, but that's fine. It's fine. He's not into stuff anyway, so I won't recommend this video to him. He's a little more concerned. My mom will find it quite entertaining. She has a worse mouth than I do, so
Oh, good, 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 good.
I love that, man. That's really cool. You have your vision and you're working towards it and the sky's the limit. Just you're doing everything like the right way too, of just pacing yourself and not trying to rush it. I was born without patience completely, so I don't know how to do that. And I'm trying to learn though, because the way I've done it hasn't worked in terms of mental health. Like I'm achieving things, but like mentally, I'm always drained and stressed. And so yeah, if you're like me, get into some therapy because it definitely helps. I'm not sponsored by BetterHelp. Don't worry, there's not going to be an ad on this for BetterHelp because I'm fucking tired of seeing those ads.
Yeah,
But
and
yeah, take your
uh,
time.
yeah, and if you're not into BetterHelp, you could also look into Recovery International. It was completely free for me. I ended up at Recovery International because I was ordered by the court to go to therapy, and I found free therapy called Recovery International. I hope that helps somebody out there.
It should. I think artists are some of the biggest sufferers of mental health because it's kind of the journey can feel lonely, when you're an artist and you're trying to build your own empire. You have the lonely entrepreneur, mind, but then you also have this creative free spirit, which is also lonely at times. So it's like that's why, I wanted to do this type of community vibe because it's like, man, we need to stay together. If we don't, that's when you start kind of getting lonely and you start kind of feeling like you don't have anybody, even though there's people around you. So, people comment, like come into the community, not just to give us views and but to be a part of, a group of people who are all trying to move towards something, fulfillment and stuff. So, yeah. But is there any last words you want to leave with the people, to kind of close out and tell them you love them?
Yeah, yeah, you're all good human beings, I think, I hope. We are voice actors, and a lot of voice actors are nerds. Some of us play video games. Sometimes I go outside and try to look at the world in the eyes of Arthur Morgan from Red Dead 2. Like I've got an honor level to uphold.
Oh, yeah.
Like I have to make up for these mistakes I made. To all our viewers, like I hope our established entrepreneurs are hysterically laughing at us
Woo.
because yeah, because it's kind of like a teacher watching like a kindergartner's writing cursive or something like that. Like, ah, you suck at it, but you're gonna get somewhere. And to our younger entrepreneurs who are, like starting the journey, it's it's gonna be enjoyable if you want it to be. Just keep taking those steps. You're listening to two people who have lots of failures under their belt. We are also associated with people who have lots of failures under their belts and coming together, talking about things, I hope will be a big motivator and also somewhat educating and informative. But just treat yourself right however you can.
Yeah.
Keep pushing forward. Uh, it helps to have a sick and twisted sense of humor to get you through the times. Like, like I was in the military. A lot of the heroes I like to talk about are like the special warfare guys. Like some of my friends became Navy SEALs and bomb technicians and rescue swimmers and I don't really talk to them anymore. They're on a whole different level of existence now. But when I trained with those guys, the way we got through was just laughing about things.
Mhm.
Every little thing is laughable. Like content creators, every little thing outside is it's material. Like stand-up comedians, observation sometimes is your material. Write it down, write shit down, like and then I could keep talking, it'd probably sound all spiritual and
That's cool.
like in your hardest times, you're gonna look for something for inspiration. Yeah, it'll either come to you or you gotta hunt it the down.
Mhm.
Everyone's journey is different, but I just hope that like we all just keep pushing forward. Keep well, car guys, what should I say to them? Keep putting good gas in your fuel tank.
Yeah.
What should I say to athletes? Quit being a I don't know.
Get back in the gym and work. I don't
But overall, I did learn something too from you sharing experiences. I did learn that I need to get more lights in my booth and more equipment in here. But
know.
this is my very first podcast. This is quite the experience. I'm very glad I'm here and thank you for inviting me. I'm very stoked.
Thank you for coming on and sharing your stories. I'm super excited about this because it's going to be really cool for your story is so unique too. It's not just like, just about you getting into voice acting. It's like you had a whole quite a life before, so I think people are going to really enjoy it. By the way, Filipino food is my one of my top foods ever. So, yeah, just had to put that out there. Just I really
Oh,
say it so
thanks.
that hopefully people recommend places to me and bring me Filipino food. But, yeah. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. I'm so hot in this booth, even with the fan on. So I'm gonna go and sit in front of the freezer. But
Hell yeah.
enjoy the rest of your day, my friend. We'll chat soon, and everybody else, thanks for watching.
Yeah, thanks everyone. Let's do this again. Maybe it'll get even more raunchy and entertaining. Who knows?
Whoop, whoop, whoop.